depression is being diagnosed at a much higher rate than it ever used to be 40 and 50 years ago. But I think you're exactly right. There's still kind of that stigma that I feel depressed, but I'm not going to let anybody know. I'm in college. I'm too cool to be bummed all the time.
Well, as a culture, I think we stink at asking for help. I mean, it's just not something we do. And sometimes even when someone offers to help us, we say, I got it, almost as if having someone offer is a negative event. We are a community. We are social people. And learning how to connect with each other in a way that says, I need your help with whatever. Should become, as I hope, and I think your generation is far better at this. You hug more, you talk more, you connect more. Finding someone to ask for help is critical, and changing the societal norm of, I can do this on my own, I'm a man or I'm a woman, I can take care of it. I think asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength.
Exactly.
And changing that around in our cultural norm, I think, is a critical piece, especially around depression. People are dying. People are committing suicide. I don't want to get too heavy here. It's a TV show. The reality is we've had a crisis of suicide on this campus. And that's not even counting the number of people who cut themselves, have eating disorders, are engaging in unsafe sex, and behaviors that are causing their life to be difficult. Sometimes if you're in a room that smells like poop, you get used to the smell of the air. And if this is my world and it smells, I sometimes think this is the way the world smells, and I'm going to need you to help me, and I might have to ask you for help. And it's a critical change. I would love to see us shift further towards saying, hey,
I agree.
I need
Absolutely.
you.
If someone, most times if you say to someone, God, you seem really down or blue, what's happening? It's almost that invitation, that door opens that said, wow, thanks for noticing. Yeah, I am, and what do you think I should do? And I think that's really critical here, especially with in a college environment.
In movies and TV, it seems like when someone's depressed, the next scene is them at the bottle or drinking or abusing some kind of drug. What are the dangers of someone who is already kind of down on themselves, turning to kind of fake forms of happiness?
Right.
Well, first off, I think that a person turns to a bottle or a bowl is actually not a horrible thing, because in one way, that's the person reaching out to try and get help. Now, it's not the most effective way to do it, but it's the person saying, I feel like crap. Man, I wonder what I could do. I know what I'll do. I'm going to have a drink tonight. Now, it's a terrible way to get better, but it is a person saying, I don't like being here. I want to be somewhere else. So the first step is to recognize, again, whether there's a change. Am I drinking more? Am I engaging in substances more? So there are some risks around that, but I'm looking at everything people do in my life as a sign of their state of mind. And if your state of mind is different today because you're drinking every night and you never have done that, my job is to check in with you and say, what is going on?
What's going on? But yeah, exactly. Alcohol, it's a depressant. So, it's really not gonna help your mood at all temporarily for about 30 minutes, and then that's about it, Yeah.
But I know women are a lot more likely to experience, being depressed or feeling depressed, and also seeking help for depression.
Seeking help for sure. Yeah, we're a lot more able to say, wow, I don't feel very good, and I'm going to go talk to someone about it. Yeah, and culturally, I think we're, I don't know that necessarily our nurturing would be considered a feminine trait, because it's actually a doing kind of thing, and men are so good at doing that. I would think that I would love to see more men come in when they're not feeling so great and when things aren't going so well. But yeah, as women, we do tend to get the effects of depression, and I don't know. I don't know if we are more women are depressed, or we just recognize it sooner and get the help.
But I think it is a cultural norm for women to talk to each other and connect with each other and be with each other, and I don't think we are trained to do that as well as you are. We also know that women attempt more suicides and men complete more suicides. So, we have this phenomenon of mental illness, if you will, at the extreme, that needs to be addressed, and we need to, as a society, start to recognize, like an alcoholic or an addict has to recognize that they have a problem with substance before they can do anything. We as a society have to look at depression as a mental illness that is based in biology, that's a serotonin-connected physiological state. It's not me not trying hard enough. Everybody I know that's depressed is trying trying as hard as they can. So that's why I went back to that drinking thing. Those people are trying. It's a terrible attempt, but I think people generally want to be better than they are.
Sometimes students will come in and they're leery of, I don't want to be medicated. If you tell me that I'm depressed, then I'm going to have to take medication. And I can't speak for Mark, but I think that although that's something that we want to assess and we want to take into consideration for our students, I think, you know, we're open to working with them on what they want to do. And no, our first thing is not going to send them to a psychiatrist and get a prescription for an antidepressant. There's lots of other ways to work with depression. I think we need to let our students know that we're not, you know, script happy. Medication is the only way to do this, that we want to work with them to feel healthy and be happy.
Sure. I usually tell people, let's try it without medicine. Let's see how you do. If you're doing as best you can do, you're working your butt off trying to get better, and you don't get better, maybe there's something bigger than you operating here.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure.
So that choice is an option. I think it's important that our students recognize that about us.
Yeah, and what's for someone who's just looking to break out of the cycle of feeling, you know, so blue all the time, like we talked about earlier, or maybe it's a friend or a roommate who they see as just, they've changed. They're not as happy as they used to be. They're not enjoying life the same way they used to. What's the best or quickest way to get in touch with someone like you guys who will talk to them and
walk
listen?
on over? Come on in. Seriously, the CSU Health Network in the Aylesworth building sees people 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We're open Tuesday nights till 8. You can drop in any of those times. And then, you know, if it's critical on the weekend, we're 24/7 available for, you know, that we can get in touch with a counselor and talk to people. So I think, you know, we can seriously say 24/7 we're available for students.
Yep.
Great. Yeah, and something, I know this goes along with the stigma we were talking about earlier, but it's confidential. No one's going to...
Oh, absolutely.
No one's going to say, you know, hey, you need this medication and we need to see you more.
No, and we're going to tell everybody.
No.
The only time that confidentiality is if someone is suicidal. If they come in and they say, I want to kill myself, we're going to get them to a safe place and we're going to get them the help that they need, and that may mean that we're talking to other people to get them that help.
Well, sure, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, so we want to help people as best we can.
Yep.
You know, one of the other issues that I think about when I think about depression is that often people think if we change attitudes, it's a debate in psychology, we change attitudes, hopefully behavioral change will follow, or do we change behaviors and hope that attitude change will follow? You know, we try and tweak that and try and figure that out. I actually think often what we have to do is change behavior. If we change our behaviors, then maybe my feelings, my attitudes will change. And if it doesn't after changing the behavior, then maybe, again, it's a biological condition. And then I'm going to say, you know what?
Let's look at
we
this.
might have to look at some different chemistry for you than the one that you got in your head.
Sure.
And I think, too, that people that do come in that are feeling anxious and depressed, they're motivated. They want to change. They want to feel better. Students will say, you know, I'll say, well, what do you hope to get from this experience? And it's, I just want to get back to where I was. I want to get back to feeling happy. I want to get back to enjoying life again. And when they are at that place of motivation, they want that help and they want that guidance. And, you know, for me, that's the other piece, is that helping other people get their friends help is you're providing them that opportunity then to seek that happiness or that feeling good, and isn't ultimately what we want for them anyway, because we want them to be that around us.
Sure.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks so much, Dr. Mark Benn and Pam McCracken, for coming on and talking about an issue that's, you know, sometimes overlooked and underrated. So thank you guys so much
for having us.
Thanks. We'll see you next time on the next episode of the CSU Health Chat.